Hi, everybody. Diana here. Welcome to this week's Starbright Quilt Along week number 2. We're already on week number 2. Yay. So, how are you all doing? How's it been going for you for the first week? Did you get all 4 of your Ohio stars done? I haven't gone over to check Facebook yet, but did you post your pictures? You have until midnight tonight to post any of your first week block pictures. 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, all 4 blocks. But when you post that photograph, don't forget, you're going to get an extra chance to win the prize at the end of the year. So make sure you get those pictures in tonight for the Ohio Star Block. And then we'll start again. Next week, you'll have the whole week to get your block 2s done, okay? So this is week 2 of our Quilt Along. And first of all, let me apologize because I told you all last week that we would talk about multi-hooping, and I completely forgot. Completely forgot. I must not have been caffeinated enough. I don't know. That's fun. Yeah. So anyway, this week I've got a whole little section for you. I've got 2 special sections for you for this week. One of them is on cutting your stabilizer for multi-hooping, just a little tip that I do. It might be something to help you out. You might already do it. I don't know, but I put that in there. And then I have a whole little film section for you on the actual multi-hooping. Okay. Now, I will tell you again now what I tell you in that section. The buttons and stuff that I press that I show you might not be the same exact buttons you have on your brand or type of machine, but that's okay. Just look for that type of thing. Like, so one of the buttons, you're going to look for basically 4 little buttons that allow you to move things right and left and up and down. I even tell you, yours might be permanently like on the front. I have a little of an older little baby lock machine. They're physical buttons that I have to press. All my other machines, my brother machines, they're all on the screen. So you'll just look for the types of things that I'm showing you on your specific machine, and you'll be in good shape. Okay, so if you're ready to get started with week 2, let's do it. All right, one more time. This was block number 1 for the first week. The Ohio Star, you should have made 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's what you need. I'm not going to tell you where they go yet because you don't get the layout until the end. So week 2, let's little drum roll. Is that's the wrong one. It is the Inspired Star, just like our Quilt Pink Star for this month. So if you did that one, you're ahead of the game. You kind of know what it is because it is the Inspired Star. You can go to the website and pick this up, your layout sheet, and I'll remind you of that at the end. But are you ready to see the block? There we go. There is our Inspired Star. Now, if you notice, I have black thread on a couple of them. Those were 2 segment pieces that I did in the demonstration part of the multi-hooping so that you could see the thread. But they're still perfectly good blocks, so I threw them in there. But that's it, the Inspired Star. Isn't that gorgeous how that turned out? Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it. Yes, I do. And once again, you are going to make 4 of them this week. 4 Inspired Star blocks. If you're wondering why we're calling this the Inspired Star and not maybe a Lemoyne Star or Hunter Star, something like that, check out, in fact, I'll post that video on the end of this video from when we did this back in April as the free block of the month, because we came up with the name Inspired Star because this block actually has a ton of names, and there's never been a block that I've known about in quilting that get people so riled up over what it is called that they actually get in like arguments over it. No reason in this world to get into an argument over what a block is called. You can call this block Fred if you want. Hey, Fred, I like you, Fred. You're a pretty block. Seriously. So we just called it the Inspired Star because it inspires people to make beautiful quilts. It inspires people to get lots of really big feelings about the name. So we just call it the Inspired Star. But that's it for this week. And we're going to make 4 of them. Don't forget your cut sheet and all of that information is in the info packet number 2 um, from the pre quilt along. So it was information sheet number 2. This, where did I put it? There it is. This will be um, sheet number 2 for the quilt along. So a couple of them are going to be numbered similarly, but one is pre quilt along. Oh, I got lint on me. And the rest of them are going to be during the quilt along. And these are just your layout sheets. So you can have it right there with you when you're laying your star out. So you know how to lay your segment blocks out. I just thought it would be helpful for you. All righty. And it's really easy. Your light and dark, gosh, this is hard. Light and dark are going to make 4 of your star points, and your light and medium are going to make 4 of your star points, and your medium and dark will make your pinwheel in the center, because that's what makes this block unique in the star world, is that it's that pinwheel in the center of it, which makes it unique, okay? So that's this block. 4 of them, okay? So now, if you're ready, we'll slip over into video clips, and I'll show you my tips on cutting for a multi-hooping stabilizer and the multi-hooping itself. Then we'll come back and wrap up. Alrighty.
Okay, everybody, here we are at the cutting table, and I just wanted to kind of give you a tip on how I do my stabilizer on a roll when I'm going to do multi-hooping, because this hoop is a 7 by 12, so that I can do 2 5 by 5 segments in a hooping. And I wanted to show you what I do with this, because obviously the pre-cuts aren't this big. I wish, like nobody else wishes, that they would do pre-cuts that are larger. I would, of course, buy them because I love pre-cuts. Am I lazy? I don't think so. I just think they're more efficient and more effective for me. So here's the bottom frame of my 7 by 12 hoop. Okay, I never measure based on the inner frame, the frame that goes in like this, because if I do that, I'm not going to give myself enough on the top and the bottom to make sure that I have some overhang. So I just set that aside. I roll out my wash away stabilizer, whatever brand you use. Doesn't really matter, like I've said before, for our purposes. I do believe that this is Aqua Mesh from OESD, which is one that I've just used for years and I like off the roll. But like I said, doesn't matter. I unroll it, and then I lay my outer hoop on it, and then I make sure that beyond the frame I have at least an inch to an inch and a half. And then I'm always going to have plenty on the sides because, you know, it's a wider roll. And then what I do after I cut it off the roll with my handy dandy regular old rotary cutter, no need for a specialty blade or anything like that we use when we're cutting out of the hoop, so a regular old round blade. Then what I do is I take my roll and I figure out in advance, if I'm going to do 2 of these at a time, how many of these pieces do I need. Then I just lay my piece on top, and then I take one of my rulers, lay it down here on the edge. And if I'm off a tiny bit, I mean, I'm not looking in here to make sure I'm exactly on the edge, but I just want it to be close down there on the edge. And then I just come in and I cut my next piece. And then I don't even lift those bottom ones up. I just keep unrolling because you can see through it at the bottom and cutting. And I cut as many as I need for the amount of segments that I need to make, either for one block, or I'll go ahead and cut them for all 4 blocks if I'm going to do all 4 of my blocks in multiple hoopings. So I hope that was helpful. Now we'll go over to the machine, and I will demonstrate how I do multiple hoopings in the hoop over at the machine, okay?
Okay, everybody, here we are at the machine. Now, first of all, I want to make a clarification. When I was over at the cutting table, I think I was talking about using a 7x12 because I was doing 5-inch finished blocks. I'm so sorry. In this one, we know that the blocks for this particular inspired star, the segment pieces, are 3 3/4. I know, an odd size, but that's how I had to create them to get that 15-inch block for us. So you could do 2 at a time in a 6x10 hoop. So if you have a 6x10 hoop, you're golden. I still used my 7x12 hoop because that's what I got out and that's what I cut my stabilizer for. So I do apologize. Now that we have that covered, we all make mistakes, right? We're all human. I want to show you, here's my hoop. I've got my wash away stabilizer in there and it's hooped, it's ready to go. But I want to show you how I adjust for multi-hooping. And I know, doggone it, I know this is kind of hard to see. I made my screen a dark gray or a lighter gray so you could see it. And now all I'm getting is reflection off of it, and it looked perfect about 3 minutes ago. Oh, doggone it. Hang on, let me try and fix it. Okay, we're back, and I fixed it. I turned my screen gray and I lowered the light so you could actually see it on here. Now, you may not have a brother or a baby lock machine. That's okay. I want you to look for the words that I'm talking about. Let me just adjust this up a little bit. I hope that doesn't mess it up. No, good. All right. So this is a brother dream machine, but if you have a baby lock machine or brother, your buttons are going to be very, very similar. If you have a different brand, look for buttons that are called something like the ones I'm telling you so that you can manipulate your pattern on the screen. So here I have my pattern on the screen and it's just the solid square. I thought that would be the simplest way to show you the multi-hooping. And so I've got both of them on the square and I have an edit button here. You may or may not have an edit button. You might already have the next thing I'm going to show you. And then it says move. That's what I'm going to click. You may already have these little directional arrows that are permanently on your screen, or you might actually have some little tactile buttons that you actually use. I have a little baby lock machine that actually has, these are actual buttons that I press with my fingers. So, but you're looking for your directional buttons. So when you first bring your design up, it's smack in the center. Okay, and that's great if you're doing a single square, but for multi-hooping, we need to get these into position so that we can do more than one in the hoop. So all I do is click my up arrow and it's going to move this hoop over here. You can see it kind of moving over on the side. So that's moved it all the way up to the top of the hoop. And then I'm going to bring it over. In this case, I could just leave them both in the middle, but I like to give myself a little bit of room. So, and I'll show you that here in a moment on another piece that I've done. So then I come to my left arrow and I bring it almost all the way over. Now, if I know I'm going to be tight in my space between my blocks, I could even bring it all the way over to the edge. That way, when I go to do my second block, wherever it lands, I will just bring it all the way down to the bottom and all the way over to the right. And then I'll be able to easily get those two blocks in this one hooping. So it's really super simple to do that. So I'm going to bring it back to the center. I'm going to go all the way to the top and all the way to the side. Okay, now I'm going to bring it back to the center again, and I'm going to let you see my actual hoop moving. So I'm moving it all the way to the top of the hoop, all the way over to the left. And I'm going to back it off just a couple. There we go. Now I'm using a black thread today so that you can see it, but you know that I normally like to use 0184 Isacord for my piecing, that light dove gray. Now I normally link videos at the end of the full video, which I'm going to do, but I am going to put the links for my 2 short videos on threads for piecing and threads for final quilting in the description. I'm just writing myself a note here, piecing and for final quilting. That way, they're short, they're less than a minute or roughly a minute each, and you'll be able to watch those really quickly because I give you some comparisons for different brands. So that could be helpful. So they'll have 2 links in the description, and then you'll have 2 links for other videos that can be helpful or ones that you might want to see at the end of the whole video. So now I've got all this ready to go. Let me bring over a piece of 2 squares. So here are 2 squares that were done earlier, 2 of my half square triangles. Now you notice I just kind of ended up stacking these 2 because they are smaller than that 5 by 5. I had plenty of room, so I didn't move them very much there. But let me grab, I think my very first one. No, I thought I had one that I had moved more. Oh, I did. Here we go. So if you look at this one, on this one, I moved all the way up and over to the left. And for the bottom one, I moved all the way down and all the way over to the right to give myself plenty of room in there to work. So that's kind of how I suggest normally. But because I ended up with a much bigger hoop than I needed because I wasn't thinking straight, and that happens often, right? So I just kind of stack them. So now I'm all set up and I'm ready to go, and I'm going to put my presser foot down and I'm going to do my placement line for my first block. And I have my glue pen ready. And you can see it stitching out the placement line. Now, if this were a half square triangle, of course, it would be stitching out the placement for the half square triangle. I just put myself a little glue there. A lot of times I don't wait. If this is in a position where it's easy for me to swipe that glue, I just go ahead and swipe it. Alrighty, now I'm going to lay my piece up there. Really easy for me to see that black thread through, so I know I've got plenty of space to trim it out later. But if I need to, it's really easy when you're piecing in the hoop just to feel for your for that stitching, and that'll, like, so if I put my finger there, I know I've got plenty of room there. Oh, there's the thread there. I know I've got plenty of room there, and so on. So it's really easy to feel to make sure you're going to have enough space to trim this out of the hoop later. And now I'm going to stitch it down. Now you'll notice I didn't lay that down absolutely perfectly straight, but I give you plenty of fabric so that if you don't, you're going to have lots of room. So now I'm done with that square, and I want to come down here and do my second one. So I come right back over here. You can kind of see my finger over here, right there. I'm going to come all the way down as far as it will move, and the machine knows when to stop for the based on the size of the pattern. That's as far as it can come to the bottom of the hoop and still fit that design in. Don't you love how smart it is? So easy to do. And then I'm just rolling it over to the side a little bit because, like I said, when I stack, I like to make sure I have plenty of space in there. And then I will do my placement line. It's going to go right to the first stop, or the first starting point. and it will give me my placement line. And it's easy with doing the solid squares because there's only one piece of fabric, so of course it's placed right side up. But we all know that if we're doing a half square triangle, the first piece is right side up, the second or any subsequent piece in a block is right side down because of the flip and stitch part. So, but with a square, we don't have to flip, which is nice, right? I like that. And I like knowing that doing my solid squares this way makes sure that I'm going to have my guideline, because that's what that stitch outline becomes for you, is your guideline on this piece. And I know I'm going to have a nice guide there to use for cutting out of the stabilizer. And I'm not showing you the cutting out this time. I've shown you that numerous times. I will link last week's video. I might have showed it to you in last week's video again. And there, boom, we're done. Two done in literally in less than 2 minutes. Done. Because each one of those, according to the machine, stitches out in a minute, because I'm using, I think, 600 or 700 stitches per minute. And that's how the piecing in the hoop goes. Now I would just take this out, take it out of my hoop, place in my next piece of stabilizer, and continue on. So let's now go over to our other camera. All righty. So I hope that was helpful for you. You can, of course, cut your stabilizer, one length at a time. I just found that it was easier for me to cut them all at once. And you saw me there. I did goof up. I was telling you we were doing 5x5 blocks, but this block, last week's block, is made in smaller segments because we need 16 segments blocks, just like we did with the Ohio Star. So they're not 5x5. So if you do have a 6x10 hoop, you can do 2 segment pieces in a hooping in a 6x10 for this week's block. We do have one block coming, which the segment pieces are 5x5. So in that case, you would need more like a 7x12 hoop for that. Okay. So that was just, I had been thinking about another block that I was working on all day, and 5x5 was stuck in my head. And I just thought, oh, these pieces are going to be 5x5. Well, they weren't. And I was not caffeinated enough to get that right out there. But a 6x10 hoop will be fine if you want to do that for this week's block or for last week's block. Any of our blocks that are 4 across, you can do 2 at a time in a 6x10 hoop with no problem if you have a hoop that size. And I know that a lot of you with smaller machines might have a 6x10. Some of them, I know, like that small baby lock I told you that I have, it came with a 4x4 or 5x7 and a 6x10. And it's a small machine. I love to use it for travel and all, because I can just throw it in my travel bag and away I go. And it's all I need for piecing in the hoop. I don't need my bigger machines really to do that. So it's a great little machine. And I can even use that bigger 6x10 frame. Now I know 6x10 now seems small because we have huge hoops. But I remember a time when 4x4 was all we had. Yeah, that was not that long ago, really. So anyway, but a 6x10 hoop, if you want to do multi hooping for last week's star or this week's star, because that's this week's star too. But that's our quilt pink. So don't forget, if you haven't done the quilt pink star yet, do that. It's the same as this week's star, just make 5, but make 1 in pink for the month. Alrighty. Okay, everybody, this has been the Starlight Starbright Quilt Along week 2. Please remember, if you have questions about the inspired star, anything for week 2, make your comments in this video. That way I can answer it and everybody will see it, because trust me, I bet you all $5 that if you have that question, somebody else had it too. It's just, because we all think, oh, what, and somebody else was probably thinking at the same time. So please put those comments in this video. And just a reminder, you have until midnight tonight, midnight Central Standard Time. So that is 10 p.m. on the West Coast. That's 1 a.m. on the East Coast. And if you're somewhere else in the world, which I know a lot of you are, um, uh, do your best to kind of get it there by 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. You would have to figure out what your timing is, and you may know that already. I think you can probably just type it in on Google and find it. All right, everybody, that's this week. And if you haven't seen it, I did a little check-in video for week 1 with you. So I'm going to post at the end of this video the original Inspired Star video, so you can see what the whole thing is about the name. And then I'll post another video at the end of this one too, to give you something to watch if you want to. Just click on through them. Please, folks, like the videos and share the videos. You can certainly share these quilt along videos with somebody, because it might inspire them to go grab all the free materials off the website, sewincommon.com, and get started on the quilt along. It's not too late. We're only starting week 2. It's not too late at all. Okay. In fact, this quilt along will stay up a little bit into the new year before it goes down, probably a couple of weeks into the new year, because at the beginning of the new year, Dave and I have our wedding anniversary, 42 years this year. Oh, I love him to bits. He's such a great guy. Always has been. He's just my honey. Anyway, we'll have an anniversary at the beginning of the new year, and there's the holidays at the beginning of the new year, and getting back to work and stuff. So this will probably stay up for a few weeks, but it won't stay up long term, because we're going to be moving into other things. I might bundle everything up and put it out there under one folder. I don't know, but I think it'll go away, because some of these blocks are going away at the end of the year. So the quilt along will have to do that as well, because people won't be able to get the blocks then. So if you know somebody who you think might want to do it, just give them that information. All right. Don't forget, Facebook is just so uncommon for posting your pictures. And then you have all this next week until midnight next Friday night to post your inspired star. 1 star finished, 2 star finished. You got them started, but you're not finished with them. Any picture like that will give you an extra chance to win one of the 3 free memberships to the National Quilt Guild at the end of the year that we've talked about. All right, everybody. If you're doing the quilt along and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I just want to say, why would you not subscribe? I don't know, maybe you have a reason for not subscribing, but I would love it if you would subscribe, because we love having you in the Sew in Common family. Until next week, all of my fellow quilt alongers, go sew life beautiful, make some beautiful inspired stars. Bye for now.